We always talk about the tactics of manipulation, what people do, but that's really only scratching the surface. Today, we're going to go deeper. We're taking a journey right inside the manipulator's mind to finally understand the why. Because I promise you, once you see their world through their eyes, you will never see their actions the same way again.
We all have this picture in our heads of a manipulator, right? Someone who's almost like a cartoon villain, waking up in the morning, twirling their mustache, plotting how to control everyone. We kind of see them as just malicious by nature.
But the reality is so much more complicated. And honestly, it's way more chilling. Because it's not about simple good versus evil. It's about a deep psychological need that's running their entire life.
And this, right here, is the one idea that changes absolutely everything. All those actions, the pressure, the guilt trips, the weird sudden mood shifts, they aren't actually about dominating you. Not really. They're a defense mechanism, a desperate attempt to protect themselves from this constant internal storm of fear.
So first, let's really unpack this idea. We're going to explore why, for someone like this, control isn't some luxury, it's a fundamental, non-negotiable need. See, without a sense of control over their environment, over their relationships, they feel completely exposed, vulnerable, powerless. So every single manipulative tactic you see is really just a desperate attempt to build a wall around those awful feelings, just to find one moment of comfort in a world that to them feels deeply, deeply unsafe.
Okay, so if they're constantly looking for safety, what is it that they're so afraid of? Let's go inside their head for a minute and look at the core fears that are driving their entire operating system.
Okay, imagine this. Imagine growing up with these deep-seated beliefs that good feelings, love, approval, attention, are like a pie with only a few slices. There's only so much to go around, and you'd better fight to get your piece. This creates a logic in their mind where they have to control the connection, just to make sure they secure those resources for themselves.
And this goes so much deeper than just a fear of rejection. It's the absolute terror of being overlooked, of being passive while someone else decides your fate. So to prevent that feeling at all costs, they flip the whole dynamic. They'll create uncertainty, they'll pull away first, anything to make sure they are never, ever in the position of just waiting to be chosen.
So they feel fear and insecurity just like everyone else, probably even more intensely. But to actually admit it, to say, hey, I'm scared you're going to leave me, that feels way too vulnerable. So instead, they create these little dramas, making you jealous, testing your loyalty, that force you to give them the reassurance they need without them ever having to ask. It's like they're outsourcing their emotional regulation to you.
Now we're going to start connecting the dots. We've seen the internal fears, right? So next, let's look at how those fears turn into the external behaviors we all see, the tactics that are really just a form of protective armor.
This is kind of like an iceberg, and it shows that disconnect perfectly. On the surface, what you see is the coldness, the calculation, the pressure. But underneath all of that is this huge hidden core of fear, inadequacy, and straight-up panic. They manipulate because their brain is running an old, outdated survival program that just never got updated with healthier tools.
And this reveals the automatic loop they're totally trapped in. It starts with fear, which leads to controlling behavior. That control gives them a little bit of stability, just for a moment. But here's the cruel twist. That closeness, that stability, becomes a new source of panic, because now they have something real to lose. So what do? They double down on control, and the whole cycle just repeats over and over. Have you ever experienced this? Someone is just incredibly warm, so engaged, and then boom, out of nowhere, they turn ice cold. It is so jarring. But listen, it's not about you. The second they started to feel a real, genuine connection, their internal alarm system just started blaring. Warning, intimacy equals vulnerability. Vulnerability equals danger. That coldness, it's just them pulling back to what feels safe.
So their mind is constantly, unconsciously sorting people into two folders. Safe people are the ones who don't rock the boat. They don't challenge the patterns, they just adapt. But threatening people, oh, those are the ones who ask direct questions, who hold boundaries, and who notice when things just don't add up. To manipulator, a person who can see through the armor isn't just a threat. They're dangerous, because being truly seen is their absolute greatest fear.
So what happens when your growing awareness crashes right into their carefully protected internal world? Well, this is the moment where everything can change.
Here's the wild part. Your awareness, all by itself, is what disrupts their entire system. You don't even have to argue.
The simple act of calmly noticing a pattern completely shatters their psychological advantage. It's like you're shining a spotlight on the one thing they need to keep hidden in the shadows to feel safe.
And the moment they feel seen, that panic system kicks into overdrive, and they respond not with logic, but with these defensive tactics. They'll deflect, they'll minimize what happened, they'll try to create confusion, or they'll just withdraw emotionally. This isn't about winning an argument, it is a desperate, frantic scramble to get that feeling of psychological control back.
Okay, we've journeyed through their mind. Now let's talk about the most important part of all, the way out. This final section is all about turning this understanding into your own protection, your own empowerment.
This is it. This is the question everybody asks. We hold out hope that if we just love them enough, or if we just understand them a little more deeply, that they'll change. But the truth is a little more complicated than that.
You see, real lasting change requires a massive amount of self-awareness and accountability. And frankly, that's pretty rare. So you need to watch for these signs. If they can never, ever admit fault, if their charm is just a tool to hit the reset button on the same old pattern, or if they use your own kindness against you, that tells you everything. It doesn't mean they're unlovable. It just means they are simply unready to change.
So, how do you protect yourself? It's not by fighting them on their terms. It's by disengaging from their system entirely. First, identify the pattern, then pause, break their rhythm. Use calm, factual language that their tactics can't get a grip on, and most important of all, do not chase when they withdraw, ever. This is how you reclaim your own emotional safety.
And finally, it is so important to reframe why they were drawn to you in the first place. It was not because you were weak, it was because you are empathetic, you are intuitive, you're capable of deep connection, all of the things that they desperately crave but just cannot access in themselves.
This experience doesn't have to make you hard or cynical. You can come out of this not damaged, but wiser. You have gained an incredibly powerful first-hand understanding of human psychology.
And ultimately, that's the real power here. Wisdom is the end of manipulation's hold over you. So the only question left is, what are you going to do with it?